Yo, what up, y'all? All right, so today, man, some new information or some rumors just came out about the PS6, and I was like, listen, I gotta hop on YouTube here. I gotta talk to my people out there and just give y'all everything that I know because, listen, if I know about it, then y'all gonna know about it. So let's go ahead and get to it, man. Now listen, y'all, I'll be the first one to come on here and talk about the PS6 and say, listen, it is kind of crazy that we already get information around the PS6 before the PS5 Pro is even released, but we're here now. So recently, y'all, it was announced by Sony's senior VP that the PS5 that we all love and some of us hate too, which was first released back in November 12th of 2020 when we were all locked up in the house with nothing to do. And as y'all can remember, man, it was a shit show trying to actually get our hands on one of those. Even 2 years later, man, people were still having hard times pretty much getting their hands on one. So with Sony recognizing that this system is coming up on its 4th year anniversary, the time difference between the PS4 as well as the release of the PS5 was literally only 7 years apart. So this pretty much kind of starts the spark of the conversation that a PS6 is probably in the works, and we could be seeing this console be released within the next 3 years, which is year 2027, which is actually closer than you probably think. Because think about it like this, y'all. This year right now is 2024, and we are speculated to see the release of the PS5 Pro towards the 4th quarter of this year, which I did a whole video that you guys can check out that I have right up here that you can learn every single thing about that console right up there. Then, if you think about it, in 2025 next year, we're expected to see that new GTA, that new Grand Theft Auto, which will no doubt be the game of the year and is going to be the most talked about thing for at least 2025 and all of 2026 and beyond. And then there's also rumors of a new Sony gaming handheld device that could potentially be dropping in 2026 or 2025 too. Then right after that, we already in 2027 and we're talking about the release of the PS6. See, listen, it ain't that far away. Now, to be fair, the VP didn't just outright say, hey, listen, we're working on a PS6, y'all, and it's going to be out and so and so and so. They didn't say all of that. But if we're following the same year structure from the PS4 to the PS5, then we are pretty much over the halfway mark, and the PS5 is officially on the downswing of its life cycle, meaning that I'm sure Sony as a company has already started working on a PS6, even though they ain't just gonna come out and say it. Now, we all know that these are all just rumors and speculations, so I just want you guys to take that as a grain of salt. But let's go ahead and just talk about how the PS6 will compare up against the current PS5 for a second. Like, do we actually think that the PS5 games will be playable on the PS6? I personally think it will be mainly for 2 reasons. One, because we are currently able to play PS4 games on the PS5 since the PS5 is backward compatible with the AMD chip, which is always a plus. And then number 2, when we're actually looking at what they're actually doing with the PS5 Pro with this new PSSR upscaling feature that's going to be upscaling 1080p resolution to 4K quality and also improving the performance. So to me, it would be kind of just dumb overall, or just wouldn't make any sense if Sony decided to up and just like not make the PS6 backwards compatible to PS5 games. Like literally, y'all, me and Sony would have some problems, y'all, if they didn't make it backwards compatible to the PS5 in terms of games. But again, listen, like I always say, man, nothing is set in stone, and yo, anything can change on any given Sunday. Now, the next thing we got to talk about, and that is the release date, because I know you guys out there like, C-Kid, when is this PS6 coming out? Now, I'll be honest with y'all. Listen, I don't know the exact date, but we can speculate some things that I touched on early in this video. But the biggest help, or I guess clue of figuring out when this is coming out, is comparing the PS4 to the PS5 timeline, as well as there was some official Microsoft court documents that was a part of this whole Activision Blizzard deal that went down earlier this year that did mention in that document, by the time that Sony launched the next gen console for the PlayStation, that it would have lost access to Call of Duty, which I can't front, y'all. If that is true, I'm gonna be tight, because COD is by far one of my favorite games that I love to play. I play it literally all the time. And listen, man, it's gonna be a sad day around here if I can't play COD on my PS5 or even my PS5 Slim or even the PS5 Pro or the PS6. Listen, Microsoft, I get it. You bought it, but Don't leave us out. But here's the other part that was a dead giveaway, which was Microsoft has offered to Sony to allow them to keep Activision Blizzard games on PlayStation consoles until 2027. See, we back to that 2027 date. So if that is the case, then in 2027, this will most likely be when the next gen is released. All of this stuff is strategic when these companies are interacting and talking to each other, or at least that's my thoughts around it. So what do you guys think, man? Am I reading too much into this, or am I right? Let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think. Now, the next thing we got to talk on, and that is pricing. Yes, you already know I wasn't going to do this whole video and not talk about how broke we all are going to be when this bad boy drops. So as you guys know, man, the PS5, when it first came out in November of 2020, it was priced at $499 or $500. But since I'm expecting some much higher end specs plus inflation, I could easily see the PS6 starting at $599 or $600. So let's have a discussion, man. I want to know down in the comment section below, is $600 to y'all too expensive for a gaming console? Like, or should they keep it at like that $500 price point to kind of keep us loyal fans happy and not really trying to see us all go broke? But I'm just curious. Let me know what you guys think about that price point, because $600 is a lot of money. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about is the specs as well as the features. So let's just jump right into it. All right. So to be honest with y'all, it's a little too early to be giving you guys promises on what's to come when it comes to specs and features of the PS6. But I do feel like there are certain things that we can speculate. Like, for example, I don't imagine Sony switching partners when it comes to their chips as far as the processor of the PS6, meaning we can most likely expect them to stick with AMD to power the PS6 and even the PS5 Pro. To me, it really wouldn't make any sense or give them any real advantages for them to switch at this point, especially since they've had a whole lot of success with AMD as their chip supplier when it came to the PS5 as well as the PS4. Plus, it would make the PS6 continue to go ahead and be backwards compatible, which is something, listen, that we all want, because these games that we buying today are crazy expensive, man, or they're getting higher and higher. And I would hate for us to have to rally together and come at Sony because we can't play our older games on the newer console. So listen, y'all, I don't see Sony doing that. Plus, the newest AMD chips are slated to be released next year, so it only makes sense for them to go ahead and build the PS6 with that instead of something else. Now, when it comes to storage, we got to talk about storage here. Now, I don't feel like they're going to be going away from SSDs or anything like that, because this is what we saw them push heavy in the PS5. However, on the PS6, I really need them to give us a little bit more storage or starting storage for the PS6 than what we got on the PS5. I feel like the PS6 should be somewhere around 2 to 4 terabyte range as the base, because y'all know, just like I know, these file game sizes, y'all, are getting crazier and crazier by the day. So the more base storage that we can get is the better. But even with that, I'm assuming just like the PS5, we will be able to upgrade our SSD storage. So we just gonna have to kind of wait and see how all of that plays out. Now, the big talk, or I guess the question that I should say, is do you guys actually think that Sony will only make a PS6 digital version, or do you think they're gonna go away with the disc drives? Now, my 2 cents in on this conversation is, based on how Sony has been moving, I can honestly see them going 100% in on the digital console edition for the PS6 models. Now, I could be wrong, but I'll just say this. From the rumblings that I'm hearing, as well as the profits that they're making from digital sales, I can see physical disk drives going away and just being a thing of the past, as I'm sure it costs more to manufacture those. But let me know how you guys are feeling about that, man. Would you actually buy the system if it was only a digital console? So let's go ahead and discuss that, man, down in the comments. And the last thing that I feel like I have to mention in this video is the quality. Now, we've talked about the PS5 Pro having this new PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution, or PSSR for short, which is basically technology that's going to allow games to run at either true 4K at 120 frames per second or 8K at 60 frames per second, which in my opinion is true next gen gaming. So let me know, man, what are you guys' thoughts about everything rumbling around with the PS6 based on everything you've heard so far in this video? Is this something that you guys are looking forward to? For me, you already know, man, I'm going to be picking this bad boy up day one when it drops. But my only concern is, will we finally get to experience true next gen gaming that was promised with the PS5, or will it just be more of a slight bump and an upgrade from the PS5 or the PS5 Pro? Listen, I don't know, man. Let me know how you guys are feeling down in the comments. Let's go ahead and and talk about it. Let's have a discussion. And if you want to know more about some of the changes happening with the PSVR 2 and why it's basically failing and could possibly be going away, or if you want to check out more on the PS5 Pro, then you can check out the videos that I have right up here on the screen. See you guys in the next one. Squad, we out.